Welcome to the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society podcast. This is an organic podcast discussing the topics beyond the fringe of this or any other reality. On this podcast, we explore cryptids, cryptonology, paranormal activity, lost legends, aliens, government conspiracies, historic mysteries, lost treasures, forbidden archaeology, and the edge of reality. I am the Cryptid Guy, and with me as always is my co-host, Daniel Tiny Hurst. Together, we explore the files of the American Cryptid and Paranormal Society. Tiny, how we doing, buddy?
Man, I'm all right. I'm tired. I'm working my rear end off. My only day off today, but I'm not too bad. Ate some Chinese food and got all kinds of tore up over that, but otherwise, I'm all right.
You're not alone. You're not alone, my brother. You're not alone. For those who don't know, Tiny and I have a routine on Sundays. We usually go to this all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet and punish them as much as we can for letting us in there for X amount of dollars to eat as much as we can, and sometimes we'll go overboard. I think today, I didn't think we were that bad today, to be honest with you.
No, we didn't, man. We done more talking than eating today because, we ran across some interesting stuff.
Well, Tiny brought up some real good subjects today. And that's kind of what our podcast is about tonight. But today, before we get started, Tiny, I thought it was only respectful and proper to thank the Travel Channel for putting us on These Woods Are Haunted, episode 1, season 3. That was awesome. For those of you who haven't seen it, Tiny and I were the second. We were the second part of the first episode. You had to close with strength, and I think. Tiny, I was very proud of him. He killed it. He looked great. He did a great job, and I was thrilled to be able to do something else with the Travel Channel. I look forward to doing something with them again. They are just a class operation, and I think I speak for myself and Tiny when I said we were very blessed to be part of that. What say you, Tiny?
Absolutely. It was a fascinating experience to see kind of behind the scenes, and personally, I think that. I looked a little extra chunky, and but it is what it is.
Well, they say the camera adds 40 pounds, right?
Right. Yeah.
Hey, man,
it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't have anything to do with the buffets that we visited either.
No, because I was thinking, I thought the same thing about me. I'm like, man, I look so fat. God, I've gotten so fat. Who's the fat kid with my
honestly,
name?
Absolutely. I think you had more of a screen presence than I did. Being more
I think you
animated than I am.
Well, that's just I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you have very strong presence. Like I said, I was just real proud of you. I think you killed it. I was proud of me too, but I was just as us as a team. That's what it is. It was all teamwork, and that's just how I feel about it. And we were just so lucky to deal with the cool people we got to deal with. For those most people don't know, the person we deal with is actually he's in London. So anytime we contact anyone, we deal with someone in London. So it's actually the way they do it is actually really neat for us. The way we did it, I don't know how it works for other people on other shows, but that's how they did it. It was we were actually dealing with people in London. So it was awesome. It was a cool experience, and hopefully we'll be doing something with them again. That's right. There's known as a teaser, right, Tiny?
Yeah, you know what it really boiled down to?
What was that, brother?
What made everything so good? It was the dramatic head turn in the open.
The dramatic head turn. Yes, it was. I know I say this all the time now, but for those of you who haven't heard us, we have done a podcast in a month or so. It is so weird having someone portray you on TV. So Tiny and I, we can always say we have been actor portrayed now. So I don't know if that puts us in the tax bracket. I don't think it does, but I just think it's kind of cool. I don't know.
Even the Subarus have been actor portrayed.
Exactly. They upgraded us. It was funny, guys. For those of you who listen to us, when we do our investigations, we usually take 2 cars, and Tiny would rather take one of his big old trucks, and I always take my Subaru. And when they were reenacting our story, they had much better vehicles than us. Made me feel bad, but what are you going to do about it? I thought they did a good job portraying. As far as it went, I thought they did a pretty good job portraying you. I mean,
yeah, they actually. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I figured they could have found someone taller. That was it. That was my own complaint.
Yeah, it was difficult to tell who was who in the story, honestly.
I think those guys, the actors must have been related because they did look a lot alike.
They really did, but you know, the scary part, man, the scary part is after seeing a side-by-side picture of me and you on TV, we look related too.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, definitely. That was surprising, especially when they did the lighting and those turn headshots. Ching, ching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how we're going to start our modeling career now. Midlife models for chunky guys.
Blue steel.
Blue steel. Yeah, blue steel for chunky guys. That's all we need. That's all it is, man. That's all. We're set. I'm waiting for Vogue to call. Men's Vogue. They haven't called. Is there a Men's Vogue?
I don't know.
I don't really know.
Because, you know, it's all because we're really, 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 really like cake.
Yes. Everyone liked it. I heard we had good ratings though. That's what I was told.
That's good.
So I can't complain. Like I said, we were very fortunate to do it, and I would I look forward to doing something else with them again, and hopefully that'll be soon. So tonight we've got an interesting show planned for tonight. Tiny and I were talking during our lunch meeting. That's why I'm calling it Tiny. And Tiny brought up this very, very interesting thing, and then. After he brought up that thing, he brought up something that was really kind of cool too. It's like some of the weird stuff going on around Tiny's property. So, Tiny, why don't you tell us what's been going on in your property and your house, and just a weird state of affairs all around that general area?
Well, I've told you for a while now that there's been just a ton of odd synchronicities going on in my life.
Yes.
And it seems like they're going on everywhere. It's like I'm drawn to these weird synchronicities everywhere, whether I'm seeing them in my life or, somewhere else. But there's been a lot in my life. And my property here, I don't own a whole lot of property, but I do own a little. And ever since I've moved in here, I know that there's been, it's been populated. And when I say populated, I mean that there are spirits on it. I believe that there's also nature spirits here on it. And just a real quick background on the property. The house that I live in was built in 1953. And it was built by hand. And I actually bought the house from the man's son that built it. And it was a familial generational home from there. And just some of the nicest people you ever want to meet. Like, I was blessed to know these people. I am blessed to know these people. And after the patriarch, is what we'll call him, after he passed away, he was here for a while. He went so far as to put change in my change bucket one night. But that being said, there's things here, and I think some of the things that are here are very old.
I agree.
Just the feeling that I get, and I can go out at night and I feel different presences, if that's the right word, a word even, on the property. I'll feel them watching from the shadows, things like that. But there's nothing negative here, and that's because I've done a lot of work here. And it being a familial home, it has that positive energy anyway. So I guess it's been probably about 4 or 5 months. I lost 2 of my dogs. They passed away. And I'm very, very close with my dogs. And I like my dogs more than I like the majority of people. And I was out one night. My dogs had gotten loose. And at the time, I had a a living girlfriend, and her children were here with me. And of course, I've since become single again. But my dogs got loose, and I have a Boston Terrier. And Christy, you know Boston Terriers.
Oh, I know, I love Bostons.
And they are nose down and gone. And they're also supercharged because they have a whole lot of gas, which he's sitting here beside me just reminded me this ghost of food past just wasted by my nostrils.
They'll do that.
They will do God, isn't it? And then they'll turn around and look at you like, why'd you do that? But my other dogs, at one point, I had 5. My oldest was Pekingese, and the others are Care Shoes, which is half Corn Terrier, half Shih Tzu. And they were from the same litter. They all look pretty much identical. All right, now I know I'm being a little wordy here, but I've got to get all these details in for you to understand.
I understand.
So bear with me. So I lost my Pekingese. He was probably about 16, 17 years old. He was an old man. And I lost one of the Care Shoes. And the night that the dogs got out, I've got 3 left, and 2 Care Shoes, they're brothers, and they follow the Boston. And they were all out. They were adventuring. They got out. They thought it was, just a great adventure. So me and my ex's son were chasing one of them down the road. And we were right behind him. We both watched him cross the road and run up into the neighbor's yard. And just as he disappeared into the neighbor's yard, the dog that we thought we were chasing walked up beside me and looked at me like, hey, how you doing?
So let me see what I understood. So you actually saw, this is Pancake, right?
Yes.
You saw Pancake run up ahead of you, and then when you turned around, he was right behind you.
Yes.
Now, I know he's fast, but he's not that fast. See, I'm telling you. I think that's something trying to get your attention, brother. I'm just saying.
Well, I think you're probably right. But in this case, I just kind of assumed that it was his brother that passed. His brother's name was Junior. And they look pretty much identical. So I just kind of assumed that, Junior was out adventuring with them that night. And so I just kind of enjoyed the experience, gathered all the boys up, and we came back inside. Now, fast forward to, what was it, Friday, Saturday night, Christian?
Yeah, I think it was Friday.
I'm working so much, y'all, that my days are just kind of blending together.
Well, I can't believe it's already Sunday night, man. I mean, this is the night we usually record, and I can't believe it's recording, and then, boom, it's going to be Monday morning.
No, it's ridiculous. I mean, you doing what you do, you understand, but I mean, I've been working basically 6/12s for the past 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even get time to sleep, dude. It's not good.
Insane. But anyway, so I get a package in the mail, and I'm not going to give any details. There's no point in the details, but I get a package, and we'll just say that the package came with some negativity attached to it. And when I took the stuff out, so I listened to my intuition and I listened to my gut feeling, because I think source, God, whatever higher power you believe in, I think that that power communicates to you through your intuition. So I tend to listen. And as I was removing the stuff from the package, my intuition told me that I need to seriously clean this stuff, to cleanse it. And I'm not talking, soap and water cleansing. I'm talking a spiritual cleansing.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Well, I know it. I know where it came from. So I know what you're talking about. But it definitely, for the listeners, when Tiny says something needs to be cleansed, I assure you, take that with a great warning, because if he's feeling it needs to be cleansed, then for the normal person that comes upon something like this, it is bad juju.
Yeah, and for those that have not listened to us for a while, for well, as long as we've been talking, I guess I have dealt in my, I guess you could say, paranormal career, Christian, couldn't you?
Definitely.
My life, my first experience was at age 5, and I had dealt with some pretty nasty things. And it's caused me to kind of realize my power and trust the things that are around me. I have things around me that watch over me. I think some of those are nature spirits. I think some of them are other things. But my intuition or source or whatever power told me to cleanse this stuff. And the interesting thing was, it told me how to cleanse it. And so, of course, smoke cleansing was involved. I do use sage. I also use frankincense, myrrh, copal, and dragon's blood to do cleansing with. So there's a variety of things there that I use depending on situation. So I done the smoke cleansing, and then I took this stuff, and for whatever reason, I needed to put it in a container filled with a mixture of water and holy water, along with a few other little things that I put into it. And it was interesting, but, there again, I followed my intuition. What have I got to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after I've done the ritual, there's, for me, there's a ritual that comes along with a serious cleansing. I have a tree in my backyard. I have a lot of trees on my property, but there's a particular tree that I'm coming to believe is a guardian here on my property. And when I have particular strong experiences, I'm drawn to that tree, just to sit under that tree and ground and think and clear. One other time that it happened, it was probably the most intense experience I ever had. Don't know if I've told that story, but that's for another podcast. I've never experienced anything like it. But anyway, I had the urge to go sit with this tree. So that's what I did. And when I'm in nature, which I've not been in enough, I tend to commune. Now, let me back up just a little bit, because I forgot to tell you something, Christian.
I'm listening.
It's terrible of me. It's very terrible of me.
Terrible.
At one point, yes, I know. At one point during the ritual, I had to step to my car to get another component. And I was digging around in my car. When I got out of the car, I looked up, and sitting in the middle of the road is a cat. Okay, now, I know people don't like cats, and you're entitled to your opinion. My opinion is the reason that most people don't like cats is because cats are more evolved than most people. They live in both realms. They sit squarely on the line between life and death. And I had a cat that was more special than most. And there again, that's another story for another time. However, she was a tortoiseshell. And if anybody knows about tortoiseshells, they know they're different. And this cat was a tortoiseshell. And it's just staring at me. And I stared at it for a minute. And it stood up, it flicked its tail, it meowed, and walked away. I'm like, okay, cool. Didn't really think much about it until directly behind me and over my house, an owl begins to talk. Now, that's the first time I've ever heard an owl in this area. I've lived here in this house now for about 12 or 13 years. The first time I've heard one. and it was just talking and talking and talking and talking. Okay, now I don't know about you, Christian. I know that in these things you're a bit more conservative than I am, but I believe that in this case, the nature spirits were trying to communicate with me. I believe that they were saying, "Look, we're here. We got your back with this nastiness."
Well, I mean, I agree with that. And again, I have the benefit of knowing the whole backstory and everything, and I know we're not going to go into that, but I assure the listeners there's some crazy stuff going on, and this is a prime example, in my opinion, of when you're a good person and someone tries to enact something evil on you, and you've got the right mental attitude, and you have respect for the land and what's on it and what's naturally there and the entities therein. They got your back, man. They're gonna make sure you're all right because they don't want someone else coming in there.
And I think also that it's been, God, dude, how long has it been since we've been out in nature?
It's been a while, brother. I don't really want to tell people because I don't,
Yeah, it's been too long. We'll say that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they were hanging around and going, "Look, you okay?"
I think that's what happened, man. I think what Junior. I think Junior came to visit you and Pancake, and I think that's how that went. And I think you just got. I think that started the whole ball rolling. And I also think it's this time of the year because this is weird stuff tends to happen to you this time of the year. For as long as I've known you, it's always October for you, and
Well,
I mean, weird stuff's going to shake out in October.
Yeah, but the thing is too that generally speaking, stuff has been ramping up for a while, and it's just I really thoroughly believe that we're coming very, very close to a climax.
Well, that brings us to our next topic too, because we do a little outline for our show, and I put the world is getting strange, and that's something we were talking about at lunch today. And Tiny, since you brought that up, man, how crazy is the world getting?
Crazy. I mean, I don't think it's crazy even.
I don't even think crazy is the word for it. It's just getting insane. Yeah. It's becoming insane. I mean, honestly, you turn on the news, you're not sure what to believe. You just see all this crazy stuff going on. You have no idea what to even think. The way people are acting. I mean, the way people are treating each other. I mean, it's madness. And I think that has something to do with, again, we were talking about this earlier, but I think it has something to do with the realm between us and dare I say it, the netherworld getting thinner and thinner. I think the veil is getting thinner and thinner. And we're approaching, that point in the year when it becomes the darkest for our side. And I'm talking, of course, about Halloween. So what do you think? I mean, what do you think is going to happen? You think we're going to experience something? You think we've got something up on the horizon that's about to shake out? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Dude, I could not even begin to guess at what, but my gut feeling tells me that we are on the cusp of something that is going to change everything.
See, I have to agree with that. It's getting too weird, and it's coming from everywhere, Tiny. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're not the only ones saying it. Everyone. I mean, every other program, other podcast. I mean, it's just, there's so much more paranormal and cryptid stuff happening now than I can ever remember in recorded history, as far as and let me preface that wasn't a proper phrase for me, than our recorded history. For as long as we've been doing this. I mean, it's getting crazy everywhere. I've got people calling on the tours. Everyone wants to talk to me after the tour because they've got a paranormal story that has just happened to them, or they were just involved in, or there's a cryptid activity that they have just now noticed. I had this one lady tell me she's been living in her place for 30 years, never had a problem. She looked out her window and she saw this, basically what she said was a massive werewolf just staring at her. And when she looked at it, it just smiled at her and ran away. It's been in her house 30 years, Tiny. I mean, what is that?
Well, I mean, you talking about cryptids. I mean, we've been having reports for the past few years of cryptids that were supposedly not non-existent anymore popping back up. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, we've had the Pukwudgie. I mean, the little people, they're popping up all over the place now. Now, does that have something to do with the fact that, the paranormal, the paranormal activity's gone up? I mean, is there a connection there? I mean, I'm starting to think so. I really am, because everything is active now. I mean, even this time of year, we usually get reports. I'm a firm believer, it's no secret, but I'm a firm believer that most cryptids migrate, and in the winter they come down from the north and they come down to the south and they migrate down here. I don't even know how many. It's just been ridiculous. I'd probably say we've got 10 times the reports in the last 2 years than we've had in the last 10. Just from crazy sightings and people seeing stuff. Then that's just from sightings. That's before the encounter experiences.
Mm-hmm. And then there's the spike in disappearances in national forests.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I'll tell you something, man. I just for curiosity's sake, there's these two guys, and I cannot find the article, Tiny, and you'll have to forgive me. There's these two guys from Tennessee that recently disappeared in the Smoky Mountain Park, and I can't for life I don't know if they found him or not. But how many people do you think have disappeared in the last 10 years in the Smoky Mountain National Park? Or how many people do you think have been died in the last 10 years in the Smoky Mountain Park?
A lot.
92. 92 deaths. And that is from February 10th, 2021.
Now, are those
Knoxville News?
Is that confirmed deaths, or is that missing, or
this is the Smokies. This is from the real story. Smoky Mountains National Park, not the most dangerous. Actually, we're rated number 3rd, but in the last 10 years they've had 92 deaths. So think about that. So that gives you a little something to think about when you're going on vacation, because definitely David Paulides is definitely onto something.
Yeah.
So this is how the numbers break down for the Smoky Mountains: 37 vehicle crashes, 15 medical natural deaths, 13 undetermined, 7 other, 6 drowning, 5 bike or boating, 4 environmental deaths. I don't know what that means. 3 falling, 2 poisoning. Now here's my question: on these 37 motor vehicle crashes, why did they crash? What did they see that crashed them? Was it just bad driving? Were they not paying attention? All right. The 15 medical natural, I mean, I guess that would make sense. Now here's where I get a little. You have 13 undetermined and 7 other. That makes no sense to me.
And what would environmental death be? Wouldn't falling be an environmental death?
I don't know. No, because falling has its own category. So maybe undetermined deaths and then other. So what was that? It's 7. It's 22 right there, and then 6 drowning. I mean, that's obvious what that is. 5 bike or boats. Now, why would they put biking and boating together? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It's mode of transportation, maybe.
I don't know, brother, but you're right. The 4 environmental deaths. Would that be because maybe someone got too hot? I mean, would that because of the temperature? I mean, I don't know. And
maybe hypothermia or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then you got 3 falling, which I'm surprised the falling isn't higher.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because I have been out there. Well, we have been out there. I mean, remember the time I almost took that header? How high was that cliff? That must have been 200 feet. I mean, there would have been nothing but 230 pounds of ground cryptid guy up all over that area if I had landed on those rocks. So I'm surprised that's not higher. And 2 poisonings. That could be from snake bites or something like that. I'm guessing. Again, I don't know.
Yeah. There's spiders.
Well, no, because right under there it says there were 0 deaths documented from wildlife. And then they have a cute little picture of a baby bear. But so I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it says, here's my humble new rankings. A death rate, circulation as well, number of deaths compared to number of visitors. The Virgin Islands, Denali, Big Bend, Texas, Redwood, California. The Sequoias. This must be a different list here. Oh, no, 24. Oh, this is a different list for 24. So, I mean, it's not as bad as ever seems it is. But, I mean, still, to me, that just seems like a lot of death in a national park.
Yeah, And I would say that probably 2/3 of them are, just people being people.
No, I mean, I'm willing to bet you, right? I mean, because when you see the breakdown, actually, upon reflection, the breakdown actually gives you a lot more than you think. Because every time you think about the Smokies, you always go back to the Dennis Martin case and what really happened with that kid. Because I don't think we ever got the real story about that. And I think that's kind of what really kickstarted Missing 411, the Dennis Martin case.
Right.
That's what I think happened, and that case is still fascinating. But then you have, the Tyrene Lyd Gibson, and then the Thelma Pauline Melton, and Christopher Lee Casena, Derek Ludeking. I mean, all these people disappeared. And it looks like they've never found them. Yeah, 5 missing people never found. And that's kind of scary, and that's kind of surprising that you never find that these people haven't been found. Simply because the amount of technology we have, one, and the amount of rescue workers there are. I mean, I would put our rescue workers, and I'm not just saying this, but I would put the American rescue worker as probably number one on the planet. And the reason why I say that is because, one, they're probably the best trained, they're best equipped, but I think they care the most. You know what I'm saying? Because these guys go out there, these men and women go out there, they don't care about weather, rain, snow, heat, whatever. They're out there, and they're not going to stop till they find them. Like, they're relentless. They're going to continue until they get the job done. And they got nothing but respect and love from me. Because you know what, Tiny, with all the stuff we do, I mean, how many times have we almost turned around and going, uh-oh, where are we? And, and there's been several times I thought we were going to be spending the night in the woods a couple times because we've been lost. Now, you and I, we're different. We're prepared for that kind of thing. We bring in our gear. We're ready. That's not an issue for us. But for someone that doesn't spend as much time in the woods as we do, or isn't prepared, that could be a death sentence. And God bless the fact that those rescue workers are out there, because, like I said, in my opinion, they're the best in the world.
Yeah, and it really doesn't take long.
No.
I mean, just and that's the scary part. Now, that's what people don't realize. Is it don't take long. And, to be fair, in some of these places around here, it would be difficult to find somebody.
Oh, yeah.
It really would. But I can say that some of those disappearances are probably legitimate just disappearances. But I can't believe that all of them are.
No, and I'm with you too. I think some of them, there's a percentage that are cryptid related, either, cynocephaly or Bigfoot or something else. I'm sure there's that. But let's be honest, if you're not going to stay on the trail, you're putting yourself up for a whole lot of pain. Because if you deviate from the trail system, then it is so easy. I mean, you can honestly, I've seen 6 or 7 steps off the trail and it looks completely different. You don't know where you are. I see how easy it is to get lost. And then if you just keep moving, you're just going deeper and deeper and deeper in. And if you're not prepared, you haven't taken a compass, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where you're going, you're going to be thanking God those rescue workers are out there. And then, like I said, I don't think they get enough credit. I really don't. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but really, honestly, how much did you ever hear anything about the rescue workers getting extra? I mean, think about what they do, and I don't think they get enough credit for what they do.
How much they pay you to say that, Chris?
Nah,
I'm
man.
just kidding.
I'm just staying in good with them.
I'm kidding. Yeah, because we might need them one day.
Exactly. And we're not going to be easy to drag out of there. All right?
Yeah.
One of us is going to be a lot more difficult to drag out than the other one.
Don't talk about me like that. But no, you're right, man. It takes a special breed. It really does. And they know the people that are rescue workers in a certain area. They know that area well. Oh yeah.
Well, the other thing is and they've got the topography maps. And they're intelligent. The way they do these things is so methodic. It's hard for anyone to slip by them. And you and I actually have a buddy of ours that's does the National Rescue or does the Smoky Mountain Rescue and stuff like that, and Appalachian Trail.
Yep.
And I tell you what, if I was lost, that's why I want coming to find me, because he could literally probably carry us both. The guy, the shape that guy's in, he could probably pick us up and carry us both that with no problem. But those people are just, God bless them. Nothing but love and respect for them. And I really wish that they got more credit and definitely deserve double the pay, at least. And while we're talking about people getting lost in the Smokies and more disappearances, Tiny, think about this. What's your thoughts on this? And I've been curious about this. What do you think about feral humans in the Smokies? Now, you're from East Tennessee. I mean, you're about as Appalachia as it gets, and that's a compliment. That's not an insult.
I'm a Southern and cornbread boy.
This is true. Your cornbread ain't baked all the way. That's why your brain's still a little jiggly in the middle. Anyway,
I'm a little mushy.
Little mushy in the middle. Look at here. But what do you think about feral humans? And now when I say feral humans, I'm not talking about Bigfoot. I'm not talking about Cynocephalide dog man. I'm not talking about goat man. I'm not talking about any kind of cryptid. I'm talking about a feral human. I'm talking about a human being that just has had absolutely no contact. Maybe they chose that. Maybe that's maybe they were on the run and they just spent so many years in the backcountry they just reverted back to almost animalistic type living. What do you think of those? Do you think there's a lot out there? You think that's possible?
I think it's absolutely possible, and I know for a fact that there are still people in them woods that we don't know about and that are living, dirt floor kind of shack stuff, like, old school Appalachian. But yeah, they're out there. They're definitely out there. As far as like feral, I'm not sure how I feel about thinking that they're feral, because just because of human nature, I think that they may be dangerous if you came across them. Because, once you're out there for so long, and so say it's a family unit of, 3 people, right? And say 2 people die. And there's one person out there just by themselves surviving, even if they're, mostly normal to begin with. After a while, that solitude is going to have a psychological effect. Mm-hmm. And it's going to change a person. And if you're out there by yourself and then, you're already kind of paranoid, and then you start having these psychological issues, and somebody happens across you, you're going to attack them. I mean, it's just that plain and simple. You might think they're food. You might just, be afraid. There could be any number of things. So I guess all that to say, it would depend on what you would consider feral, your definition of feral. But yeah, I absolutely think there's people out there like that.
I mean, it's because when you think about it, it's like how much time would it take for someone to kind of just reverberate back to being feral? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's probably studies on that, honestly. But another thought. So some of these disappearances, that could be people getting out there, getting lost and losing their freaking mind, and all of a sudden they're feral people.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, anything's possible. I just, you can't exactly go out there and survive unless you have some skills, though. I mean, you're going to need to eat. You're going to need to drink water. You're going to need to cook a fire. You're going to need fire for heat. You're going to need shelter. I mean, now granted, in our area, Appalachia, you can do all that year round. I mean, I don't think that'd be an issue. But, I mean, you've got to have those survival skills already innately in you.
Well,
so, I mean.
Well, but the thing is, we do.
Yeah.
We absolutely do. And, of course, necessity is the father of invention. But we've been softened down and have all of these creature comforts, and any one of us could go out there and survive if we had to. But the question is, do you have that survival instinct? I think that the ability and the instinct are 2 different things. I think they're separate. I think a lot of people just don't have that instinct anymore.
Well, you think that's just because we become too modern?
Absolutely, yeah. We've become too dependent on these creature comforts.
Yeah, like our cell phones and things like that. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It's just like if, well, all right. take your zombie movies, for instance, okay? Walking Dead is a good example. So the majority of the population died because they didn't have that survival instinct. And I don't know if you've ever watched it. I've watched quite a bit of it. Not all of it, but I really, disagree with a lot of that show. I can't stand the lead character. But
you're not a Rick Grimes fan?
No, I'm not. I can't stand.
I
Rick.
never thought he was very good. I like the actor. I just, as a leader, like if I was in that situation, I'd be handling things a wee bit different myself. But yeah, I'm with you.
That character is terrible. I think had Shane been the leader, their world would have been completely different. However,
he had to go be the Punisher, man. He had to go be the Punisher. He was busy.
Well, that's true. In that example, actually, that's a prime example. Shane, I think, had that survival instinct. And unfortunately, in cases like that, the survival instinct is dangerous because survival is nasty. And, you either have it or you don't.
No, I'm with you because people don't realize what it takes to, survive. So you're going to have to make decisions that you would not normally have to make. Your life is not going to be the same. I mean, you put the situations you're going to be in are a whole lot different than what normal civilized society would allow in a situation like that. But and I think that's kind of what happens to these people if they go feral. I think that's probably what happens. I think some of them just kind of, there's a switch that clicks on them in their head and they just kind of revert back to whatever, I think that's probably what happens.
Yeah. What we do is when that's what you would call a extreme, like, survival situation. And what we would do is that switch would click and we would go back to our base natures.
Exactly.
To survive.
Exactly. I think people be surprised in what they can survive on. So, Tiny, let me ask you this. This is something you brought up to me today at lunch. And strange radio waves from Galactic Center. Now, I had to think about this because, as a old school Doctor Who fan, I'm talking about the older Doctor Who's, not the new stuff. Galactic Center was actually where Gallifrey was. So I had to look this up to find out where it was. So this is actually the definition of Galactic Center from Wikipedia, but they got it from NASA. And Galactic Center or Galactic Center is the rotational center, the barycenter of the Milky Way galaxy. It is a central massive object of supermassive black hole about 4 million solar masses, which powers the compact radio source Sagittarius A, which is almost exactly at the galactic rotational center. So that's what they're talking about. Basically, it's not the middle of the galaxy as we know it. It's the middle of our galaxy. So when they say Galactic Center, it's basically somewhere in the Milky Way galaxy in the middle. And that's near Sagittarius A. A lot of people think that there isn't a difference between galaxy and universe. The universe is the whole thing. Galaxy is basically, a part of where we live. In other words, the United States would be a whole universe, and North Carolina would be a galaxy. So that's the difference. So does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, because some people get that confused. Now, Tiny, explain to everyone what's been going on from Galactic Center as of lately, because I am baffled that this is not all over the news.
So, October 12th, there's an article from the University of Sydney, and Dr. Wang, who is a physics professor there, or actually he's a PhD student. I'm sorry. I can't pronounce his first name, so I'm not even going to try. They discovered some strange radio waves coming from, as you said, the Galactic Center. And they, let me read my notes here. Hold on. They said that one of the more interesting things about it was, and this is in quotes, the brightness of the object also varies dramatically by a factor of 100, and the signal switches on and off apparently at random, and they've never seen anything like it. There's a lot of different radio waves in space, and we've been watching them for a very long time. This is new, completely new, and some other things that I've read have said that they have actually discovered a pattern in this, and there's a lot of people out there in the field that believe that this may be first contact.
First contact. Now, Tiny, you and I both talked about this. You and I both don't believe that this is first contact. This might
Absolutely
be first.
not.
This might be first public content, but I think you and I can both agree that we've had first contact for a much longer time. I know we've done a podcast about Roswell before, and I think that's probably the first official contact the United States government had, and that was probably something a little different than what we've been led to believe, or at least that was first contact for some people, and then it grew. I'm a firm believer in that Nixon had contact with aliens, just from what I've read and seen, because to me it just makes sense. But if this is true, Tiny, why is it not all over the place? Why is this barely being spoken about?
Well, I mean, think about. I've lost track of how long ago it was. Was it last year that they actually had the press conference that said, yeah, we know aliens are real. We've spoken to them, blah blah blah, and then it just disappeared. Nobody talked about it. I mean, I don't know if it's maybe they're trying to the they, the them, the those are trying to let it seep in gradually. It's a possibility. I don't necessarily believe that. I think they've been saturating us and preparing us for that for years with all of the alien movies and things like that. But there's a reason for it. Could that be part of what people are feeling? What I'm feeling, this big change getting ready to happen? Is it, is it the Anunnaki coming back? Is it, what is it? I don't know. But the powers that be are not really going to, they don't want us to have knowledge, and there's a reason for that. There's knowledge is power.
Okay, let's run a hypothetical, Tiny. Say this is real.
All
right. What happens? What happens next? Did he just show up? Oh, hi. How you doing? You're not alone.
Maybe it's the day the Earth stood still type thing.
The original one. We were talking about that at lunch today. The original one. That's still, you're talking about synchronicity and all that. And for some reason, I saw, I don't know. I have strange sleep habits. I don't sleep a whole lot. And when I do, sometimes I fall asleep on the couch watching TV. And I woke up the other night, and the original ending, the original day the Earth stood still from the 50s, it's one of my favorite movies, was on. And just that last ending where the guy's basically, the alien is giving the speech about how humanity needs to get its stuff together, because if we can't get along here, how are we going to get along as a galactic family? And if we don't, we're going to be reduced to, cinders. That movie's how old now? 72 years? I mean, in the 50s? I mean, figure, just say it's 1950 something. All right.
Yeah.
Have we learned anything in all that time, Tiny? Have we gotten better? Or are we still just as despicable as we've always been where it comes to dealing with each other? I mean, have we evolved? Have we been, in other words, let's say that guy, I think, whatever his name was, no, Gort was the robot. I can't think of the guy's name, but let's just say he showed back up today and he's looking around. Is he going to see any improvement from the human condition from the 50s to today? What do you think?
I think there has been improvement, but there's also been a degradation in some areas. I think it's just different. I think that it has changed. There's definitely improvement in some areas, but we are still human, and we have we've not evolved enough to control our base instincts, to control our emotions. And, you know, like we were talking about today, kind of goes along with it in all of these, I mean, global synchronicities, honestly. You know, I read a book, it's called The Ghost Studies, and I definitely recommend it. And in it, he was talking about the, oh my God, what did I call it, Christian? I just called it today.
With the synchronicity?
No, the, oh my God, collective consciousness theory. Okay. And if you believe, you know, that our energies affect each other and so forth and so on, and I know it sounds new age. I think it's true. You know, I think that we affect each other with our different vibrational frequencies. After all, it's science. We know that everything is in constant vibration. So that being said, it's not that far-fetched to think that everybody in the world right now is feeling anxiety. They're feeling frustrated. They're feeling anger. They're feeling all of these emotions. And in turn, all of this different energy is going out here and it's affecting everybody, and we don't realize it. We don't acknowledge it. We don't know it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, that's all right.
I got on the
collective.
I got on the soapbox.
And you fell. You fell off the box.
I did.
That's all right.
I did.
It's been a long week for you. I know what you're talking about. I think, you know, if people think about it, think about how easy it is for everyone to be frustrated lately. I mean, you see it everywhere. It's like no one has any patience anymore. People don't seem to be as nice as they once were. And why is that? Is that because of COVID? Is that because the world has gotten so weird? Is that because, you know, there's no faith in things? I mean, you know, what's going on? It's become a very different place in the last, I'd say in the last 10 years, the world's become a very different place. And I'm not sure why. Yeah. And I think it's pretty obvious. I think most people would even agree to it. I think they'd say, yeah, it's different than when, you know, we were kids. You know, I can't believe I'm old enough to say that now. We were talking about age too, getting older. But like when we were kids, I think the world was a different place. Now, maybe we were just perceiving it through the eyes of a kid. But to me, it just seemed different. Like, you know, one example, and this is just an example, and I'm not ragging on anyone, but it's like there doesn't seem to be pride in the country anymore. You know, a lot of people don't have pride in the country anymore, and I don't understand that. It's like people, it's like chic not to care about your country anymore. I don't understand that. Makes no sense to me. It's the greatest country in the planet.
It kind of seems like there's a lack of pride in basically everything.
Exactly. I mean, and I was just about to say, and that extends to everything. It's like there's no pride in anything. You know, it's like no one has any pride in the country, themselves, their community. It's just like, and I'm not saying everybody, it just seems like it's kind of dissipating, or people mock it. Like if you're proud to be an American, it's like there's someone that's going to mock you for saying that, you know, and I don't understand where that comes from. It just baffles me.
That's where I was going, Christian, with that whole little soapbox I got on. There has been change since the 50s. Like in the 50s, there was a very pointed, very obvious, very well spoken hatred. Right? It was clean cut. Like, you know, I hate you because of your race, or I hate you because of your religion, or blah blah blah. Now we don't even know why we hate somebody. You know, you can blame it on race or religion or, you know, anything like that, but that's not the case. Like you don't, there's so many people that are so angry.
That's the thing, Tiny.
They don't
Everyone,
even know
like,
why.
The rage. It's not even, it's just rage and this anger. It's like, why? Why is everyone so angry? It doesn't make sense to me. You know, I mean, I know everyone's got their problems, but the rage doesn't need to be there. I just don't understand that. You know, you don't, if you have a point to make your point using words. You don't have to get violent. I never understood that. Yeah. It makes no sense. But anyway,
now to that statement though, I'll say this. People They don't know how to listen. People hear, but they don't know how to listen. And so many times, the only way that people get heard is by extreme action.
Yeah, but still, I don't think it's fair to hurt someone. Yeah,
It's not.
or damage property, or just become danger. Make society scared. Because you're trying to put a point. You be articulate, get political, do it the right way. But maybe that doesn't work for some people. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I'm just a guy that has a podcast, and I'm lucky to have that. So let me ask you, Tiny, what's your plans for Halloween?
Most likely work.
Work? You're not gonna nothing planned special?
No. I mean, my dogs really, they don't care to dress up and go trick-or-treating. So,
I understand. Well, you're not going to dress up as Dorothy Gale from The Wizard of Oz this year?
I was thinking about dressing up as Fiona, from Shrek.
You can pull that off. If anyone can pull that off, it's you.
I could. You know why?
Why?
I got that badonkadonk.
Yes, you do. You can make it work, and I'm pretty sure you guys would have the same fashion sense. So, the great and powerful Joshua P. Warren convinced me to do a 8:30 Halloween tour on Halloween night, which is Sunday. So if anyone wants to come join me, you can get tickets at hauntedasheville.com. Like I said, and that'll be the 8:30 tour. Something else has been happening pretty cool for us. What'd you say, Tiny? And I'm talking about the new podcast we're doing with our buddy Chris from Beyond Fringe. What do you think about that?
I think it's pretty cool, man. I think it's going to be an interesting platform, too. It's going to be different than this podcast. It's going to be a little bit more
adult themed.
It's going to be a little bit more, a little bit more open. Here we try and keep it PG.
We try to keep it G, Tiny. G rated.
G. There we're going to go OG.
We're going to go OG. Yeah, on that platform, I'm not sure which platform we decided to do. We're going to be doing a real podcast platform. We're going to continue with our YouTube channel because YouTube's been great to us, and we love doing it here on YouTube. And I think it'd be foolish not to continue with YouTube. But we're also going to continue it on a different platform. And I'm not sure what Chris has picked out yet, but it's going to be, a podcast situational platform. So we're very excited about that. I think that's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to that. And because Chris is just awesome to work. If you guys don't know, you can look at the Venomous Fringe with Chris Azeri or Beyond Fringe with Chris. The great shows. He's got a lot of followers, and he's done a lot of good work, and he's just a great guy. He's a good friend of ours. Well, Tiny, that's all the time we have. We want to thank everyone for listening. If you have a story or you want to be a guest on our show, please contact us through email at americancryptidandparanormalsociety@gmail.com or hearstparanormal@gmail.com. And this one's easy to remember. Christian@cryptidguy.com. Or you can contact us on our 24-hour Cryptid and Paranormal hotline, Tiny, which is 1-800-329-4851. Tiny, you got anything else to say?
Yeah, just to remind everybody that number, if they call it and they accidentally dial 900, they get to hear you talk dirty.
Great. Now people are going to do that. All right. Please like and subscribe to our channel, my friends. We have never really been pushing that, and I want to start pushing that. Also, if you could get our Twitter and what's the other one? Facebook and Instagram. Like and subscribe to those as well. Just type in American Cryptid and Paranormal, and they should all pop up. You can get all that information on our website, americancryptidandparanormalsociety.com. Again, I am the Cryptid Guy. Tiny and I thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe to all of our channels and all our digital media. And remember, my friends, knowledge is power. And the only way to defeat the intentional veil of darkness that surrounds us all, battle the ignorance that shackles us to hatred and despair, and restore the balance is to let the light in. So remember, always, let there be light in your life and keep believing. Thank you and good night.